It was not a bird. It was not birds. I don't know what happened to him. I don't know if he got hypothermia and frostbite.
I feel a lot better. I got a fire going.
Beyond the trail, the wilderness hides secrets that defy logic and test your very sanity. From a barefoot stranger appearing in the middle of nowhere to glowing orbs stalking a haunted swamp, these encounters are as real as they are chilling. If the forest started watching you back, would you know when it's time to run? In January 2025, a solo backpacker from the YouTube channel Nomad Unknown began her first trip of the year. She headed out alone into one of the most notorious stretches of wilderness in Arizona. Her channel was known for calm trail footage and steady informative narration. It had never captured anything like this. What started as a quiet, carefully planned hike through sun-scorched canyons and dry riverbeds gradually turned into something far more unsettling.
Water rolling down my face. It's not tears, it's sweat. I'm trying to wear like sun shirts and things like that to protect my skin, but it's just too hot for that. And I'm gonna get a heat-related illness. There's the parking lot down there, and looks like I've crested this ridge. Unfortunately, the map I have is not in tremendous detail. It was the smallest scale map I could find. I had to search pretty hard for that one, and this route that I'm doing also does not exist as a ready-made route, so I am just following my mapped route.
The desert felt silent, not peaceful, but silent in a way that felt unnatural. The only sounds were the crunch of her boots over loose gravel and the faint wind moving through brittle plants. As she ventured deeper into the canyon, something caught her attention.
What is this? Like bloody tracks of some sort. All the way. Well, we should definitely follow them. Of course, they're leading in the other direction. Is there a crime scene up here? Weird. I don't see an origin. Oh, here's more. Through here. Let's see. Here they continue. Let's follow. That's a long way. Okay. It's up there. Actually, there are still some faint signs of blood along the trail here. Nothing here. Oh, there's some rock right there where my head shadow is. Huh. There we go.
A dark smear stained a rock. Nearby, faint paw prints crossed the trail and vanished into the brush. She crouched to examine them. Her voice remained calm and analytical. She assumed it was likely a predator, possibly a mountain lion or a coyote dragging prey. Still, the scene stayed on her mind. Later that afternoon, she set up her tent beside a spring, a rare water source in the dry terrain. As the sun dipped below the canyon walls, the atmosphere shifted. It felt heavier charged.
Not gonna lie, I'm feeling a little nervous about this camp. Maybe it's just been such a long time since I've camped out in a tent in a place that I'm not familiar with. But also part of my logical mind, I'm here because of the proximity to water, and the wild animals that live in this area have the same interest. And when I first got here, I heard some rustling of what I'll say is a mammal up the hill just away. Also, just in the tree right above my tent is bird feathers, and looks like something happened to the bird. And there's also an odor. I don't know if somebody just didn't handle their business properly and did it too close to camp. I don't know if I'm smelling an animal or something, but I'm a little bit disturbed, but get out of here. Okay, whatever that is, it is not intimidated by me, and I can't see anything, but I can hear it. I got 1 liter of water. I'm getting out of here. I'm not staying here tonight. Are you freaking kidding me? It's not even dark yet. Yeah. I heard some stuff when I first got there, and I figured I had scared it away. And even though it smelled weird and I was feeling nervous, I was like, mind over matter. Whatever that animal was making that much noise. It was not a bird. It was not birds. And it was not intimidated by me at all.
A metallic scent lingered near the ground. When she looked up, she noticed scattered feathers caught in the branches above her campsite. Then she heard it. At first, it was subtle, a steady movement in the brush. It did not fade or pull away. It seemed to circle. Instinct took over logic. She did not wait for nightfall. She quietly packed up, broke down her camp, lifted her pack, and left. Some viewers believe she unknowingly camped near a fresh kill, and that the mountain lion responsible had returned. Many still wonder what might have happened if she had stayed just 1 more hour. If you felt that presence circling your tent, would you rely on logic or trust your instinct and leave? On November 29, 2012, Paula and her 44-year-old partner, Roderick Clifton, were staying at his mother's residence in Citrus Heights, California. That day, Paula's mother had invited them over for dinner, so they gathered their belongings and began the long drive over 100 miles to Gardnerville, Nevada. They traveled through the mountains, stopping a few times to enjoy the scenery. Even with those pauses, they were still on track to arrive well before dinner. Rod decided to take a brief detour to Burnside Lake, and that was when everything began to fall apart. The road ahead was blocked by a gate and thick ice clearly closed for the season. But Rod, familiar with the area from past summer visits and eager to test his Jeep in the snow, drove around the barrier, a choice that would soon lead to serious consequences. At first, nothing seemed out of place, and they reached the lake around 7 p.m. However, the snow was much deeper and softer than they had expected. When they tried to turn the Jeep around, the front left tire became stuck. Hours of effort to free it led nowhere. As the temperature dropped rapidly from the 60-degree weather they had left behind, they realized they were not prepared to stay overnight. Wearing only fall clothing with limited food and no cell service, they remained inside the Jeep as a powerful snowstorm moved in. The following day, November 30th, Rod decided to go look for help. He set out on foot through waist-deep snow for what would have been nearly a 6-mile journey, assuring Paula he would return within a few hours. He never came back. Paula was left to survive on her own. She rationed a few green tomatoes she had brought used snow for water and wrapped herself in every blanket and piece of clothing she could find. The freezing temperatures, the storm, and the isolation steadily wore down her hope. By December 1st, she used the last remaining battery in her camera to record a message for her family, uncertain whether anyone would ever find her.
I'm on my voice. It is now Sunday morning, and the snow has not let up. It's about 6.5 feet deep, I think. I'm eating a green tomato a day. I'm eating as much snow as I can remember to, and trying to stay warm. I just want to come home. Rod left Friday morning. Today's Sunday. Rod left Friday morning to go get help and didn't come back. I don't know what happened to him. I don't know if he got hypothermia and frostbite or if some critter got him. But I can't walk out in this because I don't have the clothing. I mean, I feel fine. I'm not delirious, and I just have a hard time keeping my feet warm because I don't have any socks. I have them taped up with toilet paper underneath them. I just want to see my babies and my mom. I'm so sorry. This just happened.
On the morning of December 2nd, the storm finally eased, giving her a small sense of hope and the determination to attempt an escape. She packed a small bag with whatever essentials she could gather, including scissors and a flashlight, and even made makeshift gloves and socks using masking tape and tissue. As she stepped into the snow, the weight of days alone and the extreme cold pressed down on her, yet she refused to remain trapped. The journey proved far more exhausting than she had imagined. Each step sank deep into the snow, sometimes forcing her to crawl and lean on her backpack for balance. Her body, weakened from days without proper nourishment and exposed to freezing temperatures, struggled to continue. Hours passed as the cold took its toll. Her hands and feet lost sensation. She coughed blood, and her awareness began to fade under the strain. Just as her strength seemed nearly gone, the snowstorm returned with force, pushing her to seek shelter inside a hollow tree, filled with spiders, where she stayed for 2 nights, barely regaining enough energy to continue. By then, her only food source, the green tomatoes, was gone, and survival felt nearly impossible. On December 5th, 6 days after becoming stranded in the unforgiving wilderness, Paula forced herself forward one final time, driven by the faintest trace of hope. That was when she came upon Rod's snow-covered body. He had likely died from hypothermia only hours after leaving to seek help. The sight was heartbreaking, but it strengthened her resolve. She understood she could not stop. Search efforts had been ongoing since the night they vanished, but no one knew about their detour to Burnside Lake, and severe weather had prevented aerial searches. Fortunately, Paula's brother Gary, aware of their past summer visits to the lake, went to check the area on December 5th and found her crawling along the road dangerously close to death. Rain had begun to fall, and even a short delay might have cost her life. He rushed her to a nearby hospital where she was treated for first-degree frostbite. After nearly a week of unimaginable hardship, Paula survived. She has since fully recovered and now lives safely with her family and children. Sometimes a single decision can change everything, especially in remote places where help is far away. If you were facing that blocked road in the mountains, would you turn back or take the risk and hope it would all work out? For the man behind Creepy Outdoors, the forest isn't just scenery, it's a testing ground. His channel follows solo survival in the harshest parts of the Canadian wilderness, where comfort doesn't exist and fear has to be controlled. Unlike most outdoor creators, he focuses less on technique and more on the mental endurance of being completely alone. His philosophy is simple: control your mind, or it will control you. But on this trip, deep in the northern woods, even his discipline would be challenged by something he couldn't see and couldn't explain.
Just gotta make a fire. I feel a lot better when I got a fire going. What the hell is that? This is a decent spot. I'm gonna go gather some wood. I'm gonna make a little fire, have a nice beer. I heard something cracking in the woods. Now, if you live in Canada, when you hear something cracking, a branch cracking, it doesn't usually mean it's a small animal. It's usually a deer, a bear, anything of that sort. So it should never be taken lightly when you hear a branch breaking. All right, I'm gonna gather some wood. I'll see you guys then.
After hours of pushing through mud and fallen branches, he found a small patch of level ground and began setting up camp. As darkness moved in, he focused on building a fire, the one act that brings stability in the wilderness. Then, without warning, a sharp crack echoed through the trees. In the Canadian wild, a sound like that isn't just background noise. A snapping branch usually means something heavy: a deer, a bear, or something else entirely. Trying to stay calm, he focused on getting the fire going, believing it would steady him. But the forest didn't match his calm. The cracks came again, closer this time. He froze, scanning the tree line. His flashlight revealed nothing. The silence pressed in, then another sound, slow, deliberate movement, just beyond the glow of his campfire. He called out, his voice uncertain, trying to understand what was happening. No response came. Only the hiss of the fire and the faint rustle of leaves.
What? Hello? What the fuck is going on? Crap. Hello? I better get some more branches. I don't like what I'm hearing. The bigger my fire, if there's a deer or something or a bear around, the fire should scare it. That's pretty good. If I keep hearing those noises.
He added more wood, knowing the flame was his only protection. But every time he tried to convince himself it was just wildlife, another branch snapped heavier, closer, as if circling the campsite.
You know, a lot of people ask me in the comments, how can I manage to stay calm while you're out in the woods? And without going too much in details, but it's really important to shut down the imagination. You have to focus on what's in front of you. You know, earlier we heard some branches cracking. You always got to think the best case scenario. Sure, worst case will make you prepare, but when you always think the worst case scenario, that's when you start freaking out. You start acting stupid. You're not yourself when you're scared and acting stupid. You're gonna have to get some more wood for that.
His viewers later debated what the noises could have been: a curious moose, maybe a black bear, or perhaps something worse. But for him, the real battle wasn't with whatever moved in the dark. It was against panic itself. He reminded his audience that fear feeds on imagination. The moment your thoughts spiral into worst-case scenarios, you lose awareness, and in the wild, that's how people die. He explained that fear changes your behavior, pushing you into bad decisions and clouding your thinking. Through sheer will, he held on to that mindset. He focused on the fire, the rhythm of gathering wood, and the physical tasks that kept him grounded in the moment. Slowly, the forest began to settle. The sounds faded, swallowed by the damp, heavy silence. By morning, nothing had disturbed the campsite. No tracks, no signs of animals, just ash-fading embers, and a lingering question what had been out there. Maybe it was simply nature reminding him who's in control. Or maybe it was something else, something that exists in the silence, testing anyone brave enough to camp alone. He proved his philosophy true. The forest can't break you unless you let it into your mind. But still, if every sound has a source, what was breaking those branches that night? Michigan Rips is a small YouTube channel run by an off-road rider from Michigan. His videos usually capture what every rider hopes for: the thrill of dirt trails the steady hum of the engine, and the freedom that comes with disappearing into nature. It's pure, simple enjoyment on two wheels. But one video changed that tone completely. What began as a routine forest ride near a place called Ryerson Road turned into something deeply unsettling, not a near-fatal crash like Greg Harris experienced, but an encounter that left both the creator and his viewers uneasy.
What?
You ran into a truck at all?
Nope.
Explorer?
No?
If you do, can you, like, I don't know, possibly turn around and try to find me? I'm going to be taking this trip.
Okay.
I appreciate it. I really do. Like, I've been looking for 2 days.
Okay. You're almost out to the road if you follow this trail.
Really?
Yep.
It was a calm, overcast day in the northern Michigan woods. Michigan was riding alone, moving through tight forest paths with no obstacles. No other riders, just the sound of wind and dirt beneath his tires. Then, as he turned onto a narrower trail, something unexpected happened. A man suddenly stepped out from the trees, barefoot and disoriented, walking directly into the path. He waved the rider down and asked if he had seen a truck somewhere nearby. His tone was uneven, his voice shaky. Cigarette ash clung to his fingers, and his clothes appeared dirty and worn as if he'd been out there for days. Not long after, deeper in the woods, he came across a wrecked truck partially hidden under branches and leaves. Its windows were shattered, the hood bent, and it looked like it had been sitting there for days, possibly the same truck the man had mentioned. As if that wasn't strange enough, minutes later, Michigan nearly collided with another rider coming from the opposite direction, as if everyone on that trail was unknowingly circling around the same quiet mystery. Viewers debated endlessly about what really happened in those woods. Some believed the barefoot man was simply lost after an accident, disoriented, dehydrated, and searching for help. Others pointed out his calm demeanor, his steady cigarette, and felt there was something more unsettling beneath the surface. Why was he still smoking if he had been stranded for 2 days? And where had he been staying during that time? The abandoned truck, the barefoot man, and the eerie silence of the forest created a puzzle with no clear answers. Even local reports never mentioned any missing person or crash matching the situation. To this day, no one knows who that man was or what led him so deep into the woods. Maybe he was just a lost traveler. Or maybe he was running from something or toward it. It's a chilling reminder that sometimes the most frightening things in the wilderness aren't traps, spirits, or wild animals. They're people, the ones who appear out of nowhere, barefoot, in the silence, asking for help when something feels very, very wrong. October 3rd, 2025. The forest was quiet, too quiet for what was about to unfold. Somewhere beyond the asphalt where trails wind through mud and shadow, the high gear crew began another reckless ride. Their videos never waste time. No music, no build-up, just straight into the chaos. A brand new dirt bike, a confident rider, and a trail that felt almost alive. Waiting.
Woo!
No, my Krivina. Close the gasoline, man. My Krivina. No.
The engine roared, echoing through the trees like something unleashed. The first few minutes felt unstoppable. The rider lifted onto one wheel, cutting through dust and gravel. Then came the first crash. A quick skid, the dull thud of metal hitting the ground, and sudden silence. He stood up laughing, brushing dirt off his gloves, but the trail wasn't finished with him. Moments later, the second fall. The front tires slipped on wet roots, sending him straight into a tree. The impact sounded heavy and blunt, like a heartbeat slowing down. The bike hissed, its exhaust bent the tire, partially buried in mud.
Yes, green. Green, yes. Red. Red, yes. This one. Ui, abbiamo Mike. Oh, ne abbiamo biscione. Ah, nice. Joj, da je res, da je moj pet preživel, ej. Moj pet survive. Up in here.
Yes, yes, yes.
Ah!
He kept going. The forest grew darker, the path tighter. When the third crash hit, it was violent. The bike twisted sideways, throwing him into a bush. His shout cut through the trees before fading into the air. Then came the strangest moment. The engine shut off on its own, as if the machine had finally given up. And then, the final fall. The worst one. A harsh slam echoed through the woods, plastic cracking, metal straining. He lay still for a moment before letting out a weak laugh, lifting the bike with shaking hands. Blood ran down his wrist as he tried to recover. Some viewers called it luck. Others called it obsession. Maybe it was both a strange balance between man and machine, where pain becomes proof that you're still standing. As darkness settled over the trail, the rider stood alone, the forest closing in around him. The air felt heavier now, as if the path itself had memorized every crash. And somewhere in that silence, one question remained. Next time, would the woods let him leave it all? On May 29, 2023, the team from Twin Paranormal, Ryan Wyatt and River, entered Hakamok Swamp, one of the most haunted wetlands in the United States. Located within Massachusetts' infamous Bridgewater Triangle, the area has long been associated with stories of strange lights disappearances and ancient curses. Their channel focuses on investigating real paranormal reports using specialized equipment to separate myth from reality. But this investigation felt different. Locals referred to the swamp as a place where spirits reside, a name that carried meaning. As the sun began to set, the air grew heavier and the forest seemed to wait in silence. Before heading in, the team met with Josh from Exploring with Josh, who shared warnings and stories passed down through generations.
Okay, so right now we are on our way to Exploring with Josh's house so that we can get some information about the Hakamok Swamp. He's gone there a couple of times, so we're going to go to Josh's, get some more information so that we have an idea on what we are up against. He's been traveling, he just got back home.
I just came back, I don't care. It is what it is, we out here. So
Josh, give us like a, the lowdown of what
you guys are. Yeah.
What were you going there for?
So when I first went there, I was going there because there's some like sort of creature in the forest called a puckwudgie. The puckwudgie is about like 3 feet tall. It looks almost apparently like a goblin creature, but also has fur like a monkey. Also, it can shapeshift into an orb of light.
But you saw that in the forest?
I saw it in the forest more than once, 3 times. This shape-shifting orb of light thing, it was coming towards us all the way out of the forest when I was with my friends. And I was like, dude, there's no way that was a person. It was 2 in the morning, by the way. Why is someone else going to be in the forest except unless it was a cult person, which we'll get into. So
what about like skinwalkers and stuff?
Exactly. So before I met you guys, I had no idea what skinwalkers were or shapeshifters. Also, the puckwudgies is another thing that I personally believe in, and maybe that kind of can tie in with skinwalkers, but I don't know. You also have to worry about the cult people that live there. The locals will literally tell you there's something crazy in the forest, don't go in there. Any local you see will tell you that. So it is scary. This place is no joke. You have to worry about cult people, ghosts. So this is, in my opinion, honestly, this is the most haunted forest in the whole US.
What do we do, boys? It's gonna be just us.
It's like a portal for everything that we know about.
Everything. Literally everything.
Tonight on Monster Hunters.
Yeah, exactly. You're monster hunting, ghost hunting, and whatever.
He spoke of 2 entities believed to haunt the swamp. Puckwudgies, mischievous beings that appear as glowing orbs, and skinwalkers, shapeshifters linked to dark rituals. He warned them not to enter after nightfall. They went anyway. The deeper they moved into the wetlands, the more uneasy the atmosphere became. Water pooled around their feet, and distant branches cracked like whispers. Their spirit box soon began producing fragmented words that no one could clearly explain.
What the?
So much so that authorities try to convince people not to come here at nighttime. So we're all a little on edge.
Can you leave that alone for a while?
Have you seen one of those before?
Do you think what I just heard? It sounded like there was like footsteps and then growling right after the footsteps. Do you think what I just heard passed and went right there? It stopped.
It stopped.
None of these things that
we brought will hurt you in any way. They just show us that you're around. You can touch them and mess with them all you want.
Oh my god. Whoa.
Hello? Guys, the weather is starting to get worse and worse. As you guys saw, it knocked down our camera, and our camera fell down into this stream here. Filming in this weather is starting to become kind of an issue. So far, we've gotten some great stuff, but I have seen a couple of other people do an investigation where they sit in their car and see if they can catch any. So we are thinking of giving that a try just in case if this does not work out. The weather said nothing about this happening tonight. We also feel kind of like we're in danger. I don't know if it has to do with the weather or just this swamp. Just letting you guys know what's going on because I fear kind of for our safety a little bit here.
The temperature dropped suddenly and the weather shifted in an instant. A sudden storm sent wind rushing through the trees, knocking one of their cameras into the water. Still, they continued filming. Flashes of light appeared through the mist, brief amber glows that hovered and disappeared. The forest felt alive watching them. Every step forward felt like crossing into something forbidden. When a loud crash echoed behind them, instinct took over. They turned back toward the road, soaked and shaken but determined to continue their investigation from the car. When the video was released, viewers debated what really happened that night. Some believed the lights were puckwudgies guiding them towards something supernatural. Others thought the presence was tied to a skinwalker warning them to leave. A few insisted the violent storm was no coincidence that the swamp itself had tried to force them out. Back in the car, the activity didn't stop. Their devices continued reacting as if something had followed them out of the woods. The storm eventually passed, but the feeling of being watched never went away. Maybe the investigation ended when they drove off, or maybe in Hakamok, nothing ever truly lets you go.
That's it for tonight. Which moment creeped you out the most? Drop it in the comments. Have your own story? Share it with us, and stay tuned. The next one is even darker.